I feel like it would be even more ignorant to say that you're a dark-skinned woman when you are a brown-presenting woman, because then it negates the fact that colorism does affect us in different ways, and we need different classifications for how we present, and there are different classifications for how we present.
Y'all, I'm starting to believe that Black women are the biggest perpetuators of colorism. And I know some of y'all gonna want to stone me, but hear me out. Black women are the one that I hear constantly talking about, complaining about, or arguing over texturism, over their hair, over how their hair is perceived or not perceived, over how it's looked, what's good hair versus bad hair, arguing about that. It's Black women. Black women are the ones that I see going online debating or not having dark skin privilege versus brown skin privilege versus light skin privilege. Who doesn't have it? What does it mean? Are you dark skin versus brown skin? Are you mocha latte brown, or are you a Milky Way snickerdoodle dark? Right? It's Black women. Black women are the ones who will go online and bicker and fight over the color of their skin, accuse someone else of being colorist, accuse someone else of being insensitive, accuse someone else of claiming to be dark when they're really brown, accuse someone else of not understanding. It's Black women. I don't see or hear Black men do that. I'm not saying that there aren't Black folks, Black men and women who have colorist ideals. Obviously, there are Black men also who have colorist ideas. Okay, we can acknowledge that. But I'm just saying, I feel like it's way, way, way deeper for Black women. I mean, if you got whole categories of shades down, and you were comparing down to the gradient of a shade, and you got different code names to determine your complexion, I'm like, to me, we see who's really impacted by it. I'm saying that because y'all know that I've been talking a little bit more about colorism and just pretty privilege and stuff in general, because that's just something that is impacted by, right? If they're not talking about swirling, divesting, or Black men, or how bad Black men are, right? If they're not talking about relationships, whether it's bashing men or wanting to get with men, then they're talking about celebrity gossip, or they're talking about pretty privilege, which includes colorism, featureism, texturism. This is pretty much the gamut of what you're gonna find Black women talking about online, right? So that is something that I've really, really, really noticed Black women are not only aware of, but I think also Black women can be guilty of perpetuating. So let's look at this video, for example, where this woman is talking a little bit about brown skin. Now, I haven't listened to it in its entirety, so I've just put that with a grain of salt. I just saw it and I wanted to react to it because it's this whole idea of brown skin. And I just learned recently about brown skin privilege. When I grew up, you were just Black. That's what it was. You was Black. You were light skinned Black, you were dark skinned Black, but you were just you were Black. But I mean, evidently now it's all evolved into these different gradients of Black. And let's just hear what she has to say, because I think she's touching upon a conversation that many ladies have.
Skin is not a bad word. I'm not a fan of this new trend where it's either your light skin or your dark skin. Brown skin
That's not a new trend. It was house Negro, field Negro. That's it. The brown skin girlies, y'all would have been in the field. You're not passing the paper bag test, you're Black. Period. End of discussion. It don't matter what gradient. You could be Reese's Pieces, Milky Way, chocolatey brown. Okay? You could call yourself a peanut butter snickerdoodle caramel macchiato brown, and you still would have been up in the field. So this isn't a new trend. This is historically how Blackness has been treated in America. One job rule. That's it.
always been a thing and has always existed. I feel like it would be even more ignorant to say that you're a dark-skinned woman when you are a brown-presenting woman, because then it negates the fact that colorism does affect us in different ways, and we need different classifications for how we present, and there are different classifications for how we present, because some of us are more disproportionately affected by colorism than others. And when you say that, oh, you're either light skin or you're dark skin, you're negating the fact that dark skinned women do have a certain experience. Just as light-skinned women do have a certain experience, and there are women in the middle of those considered shade ranges who might not have that same experience as a dark-skinned woman, and who don't have that same privilege as a light-skinned woman. A good way to put this into context is makeup, right? I'm in my summer shade right now, but most of the time a brand is even if it's the lightest, brightest color, a brand is gonna carry a shade for my skin tone or someone who's a little bit lighter than me. Most dark-skinned women, a lot of brands do not even carry a shade that's darker than my skin tone. I cannot in whole heart and good faith say that I experience in the makeup industry the same thing as a dark-skinned woman, because brands do carry, and even if it's not exactly right and it might not be the right undertone, but they do carry lighter brown shades, whereas darker brown shades, sometimes they even neglect and forget, and they don't even prioritize putting them in there because they don't care. They're not catered to in the market. That's a way you're differentiating the experience of dark-skinned women and brown-skinned women. There are differences. Also, I think it's just being weaponized a little bit, and it feels more divisive than it is like talking about the conversation of, oh, brown skinned women don't want to be dark skinned. Because I do think some brown skinned women probably use it as a way to not be dark skinned. But I think the conversation feels very divisive, as in, like, if all brown skinned Black women do not want to be dark skinned and would have a problem with being it. It's not that they have a problem with being it, but that's just not how they exist. And it honestly does, as a brown skinned woman, feel a little bit disrespectful, because then I mean I'm negating someone's experience, and I understand my positioning in this world. So I'm not negating nobody's experience, because I know that I don't have light skin privilege, but I also don't have experienced the same things that a dark skinned woman may experience. That's just that.
She makes some good point. Basically, what she's saying is how Black you appear will likely impact the way that you are treated or how you interact in this world. So there is definitely a level of truth to that I can acknowledge. I mean, to me personally, I don't get super caught up in trying to understand the gradients of Black. Like, to me, that's how I look at it. Maybe that's the old school way of looking at it or whatever. That's how it was for me growing up. It's like, you Black, you light skin, you dark skin. One drop bull, if you ain't passing the paper bag test, then that's what we're doing over here. But really, these kind of conversations to me also show me how prevalent colorism is in the consciousness of Black women. And so I think because of that, I do believe that there are some who perpetuate it, maybe not even necessarily unconsciously, but as a way, I think, to try to escape. And then there are those who obviously feel like they were constantly oppressed or othered by it. You know, impacts of racism, colonization, it is what it is. I'm not going to overlook it or downplay that. But I will say these conversations to me, I think a lot of times can be deflected onto Black men. We act as if Black men are the ones who are the creators and the managers of this, and I'm like, I don't really think that is really true. I think Black women being a lot more impacted by it and a lot more conscious of it can also be a lot more hurt by it, and also in same ways also actively involved in perpetuating it. Because what is the divestiture movement? What is the movement of women who are always looking for reasons or excuses to talk about why they need to expand their options to white men, non-Black men? What is the women who don't feel comfortable with their own hair? You know, women who are constantly looking for reasons to always wear the crown of another woman's hair in their head, right? So I think these things are a lot deeper than, you know, Black women are just colorists. We're just oppressed by these things, and, you know, whatever excuses that we use, I think some of these things are internalized and also things that we as women also ourselves can perpetuate. Another thing that I want to say is it's actually good to be able to call out and to identify colorism. I continue to assert that the best way to deal with this, like if the whole goal as Black women is to have a space where you feel celebrated and you feel like you are the standard or you want to be the standard, really there's no other way to do that other than being actively involved in building a Black community and supporting resources, organizations, things that believe in celebrating Black beauty, Black cultures. And that's going to include Black men. You know, I talked about that because, like, the answer to this is nationalism. The answer to this is building nations or building organizations, businesses, all of those things. That is the answer. Outside of that, if there's no willingness to do that, then it's going to continue. You're going to continue to be a Black woman in a majority white country and feel like you're always oppressed. And to me personally, like, I don't feel that's really empowering. That's why I like to think about, okay, so what's the answer to this? We've identified the problem. Okay, there's different shades, different experiences of problem. What's the answer? And that's where I think community is really healthy. Obviously, the foundation of the community is a Black family. That's what's important to you. And I will always advocate first and foremost for a godly family, right? It's more important that you deal with who God has for you, right, than you just be Black or just be like, that's the most important. But if you were obviously, or you're specifically about like wanting to build a healthy Black family, you have a Black family, you get a godly Black man, you guys build a community. And then if you really want to see a better space for Black women, you invest in, or you build yourself, or you support those, or you come together, or you get connected to Black reality, to Black institutions that are doing just that. In my opinion, I think these conversations become helpful when we can start to talk about what are the solutions. Okay, so what are we doing to try to move beyond this, so we don't always feel that we are a victim, or that we don't always feel like we are forever going to be victimized by this thing, but we're working towards particular solutions. I don't know, those are just my thoughts, guys. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.